We have a question from our user that I want to get to, but I think, listening to the two of you, three of you, it seems like, isn't the real issue that we consumers don't even partially care about privacy? Oh, we'll put everything on Facebook. No, I mean, we'll put the details of what beer we drank is on Facebook. I mean, my sister's last name, everything, we put it out there. We want convenience. We want quickness. Privacy? I mean, we've almost thrown up our hands. No,
James,
all right,
James,
please, Ann, please.
This is making me crazy.
Right.
This is making me
tell me why I'm wrong.
Crazy. That's the exact opposite. See, that's the mindset that a number of people, obviously like yourself, have. It's completely wrong. People care deeply about privacy. As I mentioned, public opinion polls, Pew Research, last 2 years, concern for privacy at an all-time high. 90% of people are very concerned about their privacy, and 92% are concerned about loss of control over their information. To me, privacy is all about control. Personal control over your data. The Germans have a great term for it called informational self-determination, that the individual has to be the one to determine the fate of his or her personal information, because context is key, and only the individual knows the context. So just because you're on Facebook, you don't want the whole world to have access to your information. That's why they've been getting so many complaints and cases adjudicated against them. In the US, $500 billion they had to pay last year. So don't fall into the misbelief that people don't care. People care deeply. And that's why companies like Microsoft, who I'm working with now, have developed decentralized identity. This is growing, where the decentralization of identity, and there's now globally a decentralized identity foundation, it's growing that big, where your identity information will live in a secure enclave in the cloud, for example, under your complete control. And only you can gain access to it with verifiable credentials. This is growing. So please get rid of the myth that nobody cares about privacy. Nothing could be further from the truth.
I love it. And I'm just going to jump right on that bandwagon, as I always have for decades. Let's talk business. Okay, so first of all, Facebook, why is that brand name? Why do we market it and give it so much oxygen? I love Facebook. I use Facebook.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
See, Facebook.
They took her off the show.
Mark called in. I'm sorry. Mr. Z called in, Michelle. We couldn't let you talk anymore. But if you
all I have to say about Mark and Cheryl, call me sister, because I can help you. But there's too late. But the reality is, like, if we take the debate and the desire to actually have data that is respected, data that describes, observes, and is proactively shared by human beings, if we reduce that to a Facebook, we do ourselves a grave disservice. Remember when in the late 90s, early aughts, there was a myth that no one would bank online. No one. Like, that's insane. That's so stupid. And I remember in 1986 working for a small credit union. That's when the ATM, the cash machine, was introduced. And if you look at it from a security perspective, what? You tap in 4 numbers and it spits out bills into a bar? Like, whoa, like every security person in the world is like, what the hell is this? So I think starting from a perspective that only one company gets to dictate what everything is wrong. So let's take them and put them into like their naughty corner right now. There's a lot of naughtiness going on there. They're not beyond repair. They're not. If you want to share, like I share my fitness goals, it's pretty personal information. I share, how my dad has been recovering very slowly from COVID. I share that on Facebook. I'm aware that that information is being used, and I will say potentially, and that's with greatest optimism, misused. However, I also do bank online. I also use Zoom.
Michelle, are you with us, or you've been banished to the world of?
They keep
Yeah.
It keeps taking me off.
Let me ask you. Here's a question from Jeffrey Ritter, one of our viewers. Jeffrey
I know what the question is. Wait, before you ask, let me guess the question.
All right.
What about ownership?
What about ownership? Is that what you think he's asking?
That's my guess.
His question in exact words is, well, compliance is noble in the absence of enforcement resources to pursue non-compliance, which is even more of a problem during the current pandemic. Why should companies go beyond building only a veneer of privacy just sufficient to support good faith defenses?
Because they'd be
Mild,
stupid not to do that. Oh,
because you
God.
think we consumers are so savvy, we're going to realize, oh, they're doing more than just, we want them to do more than lip service.
Oh God,
We don't,
don't be
but they don't.
ridiculous. It's so stupid. I'm sorry, Michelle, I've got to jump in. I do a lot of public speaking. I talk to consumer groups and people. They ask amazing questions. They dig below the surface. They're not these stupid individuals who you think just give them the veneer of privacy and that'll shut them up. Are you kidding me? They care more about privacy than, not than me, I was gonna say than I do, but equally, the depth of the questions. 10 years ago when I would do public speaking, I'd have to explain to them what the issues are and what they should be concerned about. I never have to do that anymore. They have unbelievably deep understanding of these issues, and they're walking away from companies who don't respect their privacy and offer strong protection. So whoever it was who just asked that question, with deep respect, get into the 2020 instead of 10 years ago. Things have changed. People care deeply about privacy, and distrust is huge. There is such a trust deficit, and maintaining that kind of attitude will just make it grow. Oh.
Yeah. So Jeff is actually in our camp. So Jeff Ritter, he's a bit of a shill, I have to say, because he's an Oxford lecturer on privacy engineering and trust engineering, and so I totally can guess like the nature. Is compliance enough? He knows as well as all of we know. Absolutely not, because first of all, who's writing the compliance rules? Anyone who knows anything about data strategy? Notch. Anybody who's not just looking back over their shoulders about what they presume was the problem with the latest breach? Notch. I mean, if Target is really afraid of its next privacy breach, where is the CPO on the board of directors?
Yes.
Not the CEO, not just a great CPO on, in the operational stack. If you believe that data is your greatest asset, and I do believe that it is, you will have someone who understands not just the loss side, but the positive asset value. How do you leverage information? And I think where, we've put a double stamp down in 2020, a lot of bad things have happened, but if we use the clarity of 2020 to grow, look at the COVID tracing applications. I think even as late as 2008, during the last financial crisis, you saw swathes of privacy professionals being laid off because they seemed to be nice to have compliance people. Now, people are already, before I download this thing, and it might be something that helps save my life or get my community economically flowing, I will not do it if my privacy is compromised. And it's not privacy as secrecy, it's privacy as I share when I want to share, with whom I want to share, and you don't have the right to take that information if I've shared it to you with integrity. You don't have the opportunity to just go and sell it to transform my political beliefs or try to guess my emotions. I mean, this is also, I know it's a little off topic.
Here's a question from Brandy, but we know that Jeffrey is a bit of a plant. We have a question from Brandy Bennett.